Position 1. All right, it's time to get down to business. This is the Obsbot Tiny 3, and it's tiny. This thing is built like a tank as well. And this is the camera that I've been using for a little while to do all of my videos. So if you've noticed that it's gotten a little bit sharper, a little bit cleaner, well, this is the reason why. So I'm going to talk about why I use the Tiny 3. It's kind of like the ultimate streaming camera, and it can also follow you around and stuff like... That's scary. Zoom back out. Yes, I'm having a lot of fun with this, can you tell? You may notice that I also sound a little bit different. That's because I don't have a big microphone on my desk right now. I've got this. The Tiny 3 is the latest thing from Obsbot. Sure, it has the biggest sensor. There's a few different cameras out there with the biggest sensor, you know, the biggest webcam sensor, but it's one of the biggest webcam sensors, and it puts together the large sensor with the really nice software. And also, I shoot in a really dark environment, so it also has very, very good low light. I guess you don't see a lot of grain and everything. So it's got really good low light processing power. That's how big it is. 1/1.28 inch. And it's about half as big. It's a little bit bigger than half as big as a Micro Four Thirds sensor. Now for a webcam, that's huge. And I actually used to use a Micro Four Thirds camera, but the quality that I'm getting out of this, and I can even get the background blur right here that I can toggle on and off using the software. I'll show you that in just a second. Once you add that to the software, I'm doing way less post-production, and that's really important to me. There's also an integrated mic, you know, on the camera that has a few different modes like omni and directional and stuff. We'll try those out. A lot of webcams, I kind of treat audio as an afterthought. If you don't have a microphone or if you're moving around a lot, well, first off, this was like 59 bucks and you can just clip it on and move around. And if you have two of them, you can make one of them the left channel, one of them the right channel, or you can run them in stereo mode, however you want. Making one the left and making one the right is good if you, you know, want to mix it together in post. Otherwise, I'm running this one right now in mono mode. Mono means it sends the same signal to both left and right. They've done a lot to, you know, mess with the sound. We'll test all that in just a second. They say it's top tier spatial audio performance. Feels weird to not have my microphone here on the desk. They have a lot of really nice imaging going on inside the camera, but also inside the software. And that means I'm just using like really inexpensive lights. You don't have to have super fancy lights because you can kind of smooth out the image and give yourself a studio look without having to, you know, invest in a giant light set. This works with obviously your different computers and stuff, but it also works with your Switch too. And there are plugins for the Elgato Stream Deck and Zoom and whatever else, Twitch. It works just fine with all those. Now, as far as multicam setups go, well, like I was telling you, see this right here? There we go. That's my Stream Deck. Press a button. Now it's back to me. Now it's back to my other camera. So I got a couple different Obsbot cameras hanging out around here, and I can just go from one to the other very easily. Software also has avatars and stuff. If you like sign in and do all that, and you want to be a VTuber, well, they've got a whole avatar suite that you can mess with. That's not something I'm going to really cover in this video. That could be a separate video just covering that, but yeah. Okay, let's talk about the camera itself. So it supports 4K at 30 Hertz and 1080p at up to 120 Hertz. If you wanted to do slow-mo, you could do that. Also, if you're moving around a lot and you're really animated and you're playing some games, I would recommend running this at 1080p, 120 Hertz, because 4K is not going to be beneficial for Twitch. So run it at 120 Hertz. That way, if you're doing something and moving around really quick, you'll have fluidity of motion. I'm running this at 4K, so you see my hands, see how they're blurry and all that stuff. Now, if I ran that at 120 Hertz, it would be crystal clear and crispy. So we also have something called high conversion gain, or it's like a dual conversion gain. It's something you see in like, you know, decently moderate cinema cameras. And what it does is it captures the high and low gain information at the same time separately. So a lot of cameras in the past, they use like multi-exposure HDR, but this is a bit faster. So you don't end up with any motion blur or anything like that, making it smoother. See, I can move around. There's gonna be a little bit of lag because my computer and the 4K and all the stuff I'm doing, I'm adding layers. Now I do have some background blur tuned up. So I wanna show you, this is what it looks like without it. So the bigger sensor, it already gives you just a little bit of background blur, as you can see. So as far as the ISO goes, well, it can really shoot in some dark conditions. If it's bright, you got ISO 100. If it's dark, you got ISO 12,800. And then when you combine that with the dual conversion gain, that fancy HDR, well, it just, I don't know. I wish you could see how dark it was in this room. It's really dark. So, and you don't see a lot of grain, right? All right, so we're gonna test the autofocus speed right now. So we have two different modes. Like when it's darker, it bring up the speed using a dual all pixel PDAF, and then it uses sparse PDAF PDAF when the, I guess the lighting is a little bit better. All right, autofocus mode, I'm putting it on global right now. So let's just try this out. Let's see how it focuses on this. All right, how about over here? That's fast. Here. Here. Why are you so fast? Sorry about this goofy box. It was just sitting here beside my computer. This lighting is shiny. Here. Can you focus close? Wow, I can focus close. This is cool. How about back here? That's some fast focus. Okay, it's focusing on the background. Now I'm going to put it back on face mode right here. There we go. And now it's auto-focusing on my face. So let's see here. And then back here. Autofocus is faster than my camera. Like my fancy camera. And notice there's not a lot of focus hunting. Like when I'm moving around and stuff, if I want to like put this up here, it's not hunting, it's just focusing. All right, let's try out the tracking. They're talking about their AI tracking here in their marketing material, but I just want to try it out. So we've got AI tracking 2.0. Yeah, over here. Over here. Position 1. There we go. So there's all kinds of different things you can say to this, like voice controls. You can like say the different positions. Like I said, you can say track me. You can say unlock me. You can say sleep tiny. Position 1. There. But it's so much faster than the previous camera. Zoom out farther. Okay, so you can do all kinds of little things like that. Position 2. Position 1 and position 2 are the same right now. I haven't messed with them. So in the box you get the Obsbot Tiny 3, you get the Obsbot Tiny 3 adjustable mount, and it's magnetic. Now note this is a small camera. It's smaller than the Tiny 2. It's actually quite small. So it'll fit on like laptop screens and everything. One thing of note, if you have a big, thick monitor like I do, because I have a mini LED right here, or if you have an old IPS or something that's got some girth to it, this stand may not fit. So I'm actually using the stand from the Tiny 2 because of my fat monitor. These new mini LEDs are thick. You also get a USB-C to A adapter and a USB cable, plus an Obsbot Tiny 3 hard shell storage case. And if you get the remote thing here, you can get a remote, and also this is the Obsbot Vox SE. So you can get the whole package together for a deal if you want to. All right, you know, really the story for me with a lot of this is in the software. On the first page right here, you got your console, and this is where you can move everything around. So it can move around quite far. Quite far. Position 2. And right back to me. Let it go ahead and get the exposure correct. And there we go. You can also just click on position 1 and 2, and you can add up to 3 different gimbal presets. And then we can do our zoom right here. Yes. Zoom out farther. Or that. I'm just going to click on position 2. There we go. Preset 2, whatever. Good. And we're back to it. Once you're finished, you just go ahead and set it as your, pan, tilt, zoom. Go ahead and update that if you want to, whenever you get it set up to where you like it. It's a little bit high right now. Let's bring it down a little bit. Perfect. Okay, so we can set up your hand tracking if you want to, and whatever else. You could do desk mode, whiteboard mode, voice tracking. Let's try our hand tracking right here. Left hand, there we go. Here, this is my left hand. See? All right, track it over here. Yes, come with me. There we go. Maybe my left hand's doing something. So I'm doing something over here. Maybe I'm gonna like go down here on my desk, and it can't go down that far. But yeah, maybe I'm like messing around with something. Can track what I'm doing, having a little sip of tea. Delicious. Got your image settings over here. You got your HDR. I've got that turned off right now. Let's turn it on and see what it looks like. Gonna stutter for a second. Maybe I like it better. I feel like I want to add a little bit of contrast when I do HDR, but I thought it was turned on, but yeah, it's off, so whatever. Got your exposure modes, got your, you can set it for face or background, and then you got your compensation. I usually like to do a little bit darker, like that, yes. And then you have your ISO limits. You've got white balance, and you can really come in and tune this. I'm not gonna mess with it too much right now. I'm gonna add a little bit of contrast right here. There we go, just a little bit of contrast. All right, so under the More tab, we've got all of your different, zoom and stuff. You can do this to zoom, that kind of stuff. Zoom factor too. Zoom it right back out. Get out of there. And then you got your dynamic zoom you can turn on where you like actually, you know, do this kind of thing. And it zooms. All right, well, you got your talking, hello tiny, and then down here we've got our audio. So right now it's just on auto and it's pulling from this. But, you know, we also have the built-in mic. So I'm gonna switch over to that for just a second. The microphone. And you can set it up to be directional. So let's do directional. And I'll change the settings in OBS. All right, now we're back to this. And we have some controls here. You can see I can set the audio mode to mono or stereo. Mono again does both channels. Then we've got human tracking. That's fine. It's, you know, good, sure. And then vibration alert. Oh, that's cool. LED light, we can turn that on or off. Maybe it's bothering me. How about that? Don't need the LED light. As long as I see the levels bouncing in Open Broadcaster, I don't need the LED light. And then microphone status during sleep is off. You got our noise reduction if you wanted to. Weak noise reduction. I'm gonna leave it off. Keep it off, but I'll let you hear what strong sounds like. Here's strong noise reduction. All right, back down to off. We also have switch 2 mode, so you can use this stuff with your switch 2. Pretty cool. And you can also reverse the gimbal down there. All right, let's get into the fun stuff. Beauty. There I am. There's 2 of me. First off, background blur. I'll turn that back on. And we've got 2 different modes, native and advanced. Advanced relies upon NVIDIA's SDK. So you have to go and install the NVIDIA SDK to get that to work. And then you can crank up your blur level. I find this to be a bit heavy for what I'm doing. I mean, it looks pretty good actually, but I only do it on 1. Anything higher than 1, and it starts to get that weird look where it's like, I start to look like a cutout, you know? So yeah, 1's all you need because this camera with the bigger sensor already has a little bit of blur. Then if you don't have NVIDIA, this is what native looks like. And I feel like native at 2 or 3 actually looks pretty good. Maybe like 3. I think native looks pretty good at like 3. This looks so much better than the last version when it comes to native. Pretty much all you need. So if you're using AMD or Intel, you can now use the native effect and have it look pretty good. Background replacement, we can turn that on. I just went through and picked an image. We got this old Shadowrun image right here, and it's cutting me out and putting that in the background. Now this will obviously work a lot better if you have a green screen or a blue background or whatever, and you have different backgrounds you can pick from. So you can do all that right here in the Obsbot software. You don't need third-party stuff. So there we go, turn off the background replacement. All right, so we also have our filters and retouching and everything. And if you do this correctly, the retouching, it is, in my opinion, very similar to like what you would do in a real studio to like give yourself a little bit of a soft look. I just do a little bit of tone, a little bit of clarity, and I'll show you what this is doing right now. Just smoothing out. Oh, that's too much, see? I just want to smooth out and even out the light. That's it. And tone's 30 right now. And that's just bringing up the, see, it's balancing out the light there. Now we have our face correction right here. You can come in here and get really goofy. See, watch my face. You can lie if you want to. I mean, nowadays this is more real than AI. Hey everybody, I feel like I'm making a character in Oblivion or something. Classic native. You have these different settings for man, whatever. And then we've got our filters over here. I use Pure. I'll show you what some of these other ones look like. Clear. So these are similar to like your filters in your different apps or whatever. This is why I say you don't really have to rely on post-processing, because we can come in here and add one of these filters. This one looks pretty good, right? Does that look better than Pure? Yeah, that might look better than Pure. Turn it down a little bit. Let's go fresh the rest of the way, and I'll decide in post which one looks better. Let's, fresh, Pure.
Natural.
I like it. I haven't tried out the new settings with this one. With the previous camera, I liked Pure better, but it looks pretty good. If you don't want to do your makeup and you just want to stream, this is it. This is not really lying. This is how beautiful I look with makeup. A layer of foundation, some lipstick, eyes. You too could be this beautiful. Oh yes, let's just go back to my custom settings. Oh, that felt weird. I don't like doing the face smoothing and stuff. Settings, you can have 4 different settings up here that you can pick from. But we also have, nose, mouth, eyebrows, whatever. You can come down here and add makeup, whatever. can mess with all of this stuff. There it is, makeup, right there. Let's do dreamlike for the eyes there. It's too much. There, let's get this stuff off. This Barbie's not working so hot. No, okay, we've seen enough. You can do all this kind of stuff with the program. It's all done right inside the program right here. That's the main thing. After all that's said and done, how does it look? Can you stream with it? Yes, I think you can. So this is what I'm using for my videos. It's so much easier than messing with the big SLR mounted on the thing with the HDMI cables and everything going into the system and having to capture it and then being like, oh, I've got a neutral profile and I have to go into my editor and add contrast and everything. I've already got contrast right here and I think it looks good. The thing with Obsbot is that you're not just getting the camera. You're getting the camera, the software, and the entire package now with audio. So if I sound like I'm selling this, it's because I think this is the thing. So I've looked at other webcams, I've looked at other camera solutions. If you're streaming, this is the thing. Let me know what you think of the camera. Let me know what you think of the microphone. It's the Obsbot Tiny 3 and the Obsbot Vox SE. Pretty good combo. See you in the comments.